On Tuesday, Maya buried her father. On Wednesday, her husband filed for divorce. By Friday, he was married to another woman. At the funeral, he stood only a few steps away. He held his own umbrella. He did not share it with her. She was pregnant and wet and grieving. He stayed dry and looked at his phone. He did not think about what he was doing. He did not imagine any consequences. He believed Maya was weak because she was quiet. He believed her father was just a poor janitor. What he did not know was the truth. The man who raised Maya in a small apartment was hiding a fortune. He was a billionaire who chose a humble life. He did not show it. He did not brag. He did not perform. He simply lived with character. So when Marcus later walked into a gala with his new wife on his arm, he believed he was walking into a new beginning. In reality, he was walking into the biggest mistake of his life. If you have ever been underestimated for being quiet, remember this. Quiet does not mean powerless. Patience does not mean foolish. Sometimes people who dismiss you are handing you an opening to prove them wrong. Maya sat in a hospital room for 2 days. Machines breathed for her father because he could not. The ventilator made a harsh, steady sound. The monitor beeped again and again. The lights buzzed overhead like the room did not care. Maya held her father's hand. It was still warm. It was rough from years of work. It was the hand that fixed sinks and doors and broken toys. It was the hand that carried her when she was small. Now it could not lift itself from the bed. She leaned close and whispered that she needed him to fight. Doctors used soft words. They said declining. They said unresponsive. Those words felt too gentle for what was happening. Her father was dying. No careful language could change that. She had not slept. She had not eaten real food. She lived on bitter coffee and worry. Her back ached from the chair. Her eyes burned from staying open. Marcus sent only a couple of messages. One asked if she needed anything. One said he would be late. Maya did not answer. Outside the hospital, the city kept moving. Cars passed. People laughed. Life continued as if nothing was wrong. But in that room, time felt heavy and slow. Maya's father raised her alone. He never complained. He never asked for help. He gave her steady love every day. When she was little, he taught her to tie her shoes. When she was older, he taught her to change a tire. He taught her that loud people often have little value to offer. He taught her to watch hands, not faces, when people lie. He taught her to enter a room and notice who truly holds power. He told her that money talks. He told her that character whispers. He told her to listen for the whisper. When Maya told him she would marry Marcus, her father did not rush to approve. He watched Marcus closely. He asked sharp questions across the dinner table. Later, he hugged Maya and said something she did not understand then. He said he trusted her to know her own heart. He did not say he trusted Marcus. Now Maya understood why. A nurse came in and checked the tubes. The nurse avoided Maya's eyes. She had seen this story many times. Maya's phone buzzed, but she ignored it. Then her father's fingers moved. Maya sat up at once. She called for him. His lips moved. His breath was thin. He pushed out 3 slow words. Go to bank. And the monitor screamed. Staff rushed in. Maya was guided out into the hall. She stood there and waited. She already knew what they would say. Her father was gone, and she did not know what his last message meant. Growing up, Maya thought every father worked 2 jobs. Her father did. He cleaned floors at a school by day. He did maintenance work at a church at night. On weekends, he helped neighbors who could not afford repairs. They paid him with meals and thanks. They lived in a small 1-bedroom place. Maya had the bedroom. Her father slept on the couch for years. He never made her feel guilty for it. They did not own much, but everything was clean and cared for. Her father folded his uniforms with pride. He polished his boots every week. He marked every school event on the calendar. He never missed a single one. Other parents came in business clothes. They wore fancy watches. They drove shiny cars. Maya's father arrived in a work uniform that smelled faintly of cleaner. He sat in the back so she would not feel embarrassed. But Maya was never embarrassed. Not once. Because while other parents stared at their phones, her father watched her like she was the only person in the room. Now Maya remembered those lessons with new weight. Because his final words were not random. He meant them. And soon she would learn why. The day they buried her father, the rain was hard and cold. It soaked coats and turned the ground into thick mud. Maya stood at the grave, 6 months pregnant. Marcus stood beside her, but he held his umbrella only over himself. When wind blew rain in her face, he did not shift. He stayed dry and stared at his phone. People came to hug her. They said kind-sounding words that felt empty. They said her father was in a better place. They said he was no longer suffering. Maya nodded and thanked them. Inside, she wanted to scream that the better place was here with her. Her father should have been here to meet his grandchild. Marcus checked his watch more than once. When the pastor asked for memories, Marcus stayed silent. Maya spoke about her father's hands. Hands that were always fixing. Hands that stayed steady when hers shook. Her voice broke, and she had to pause. Marcus did not reach out. He did not comfort her. When the casket was lowered, Maya stepped forward with a rose. Her heels sank into the mud. Her knees nearly gave out. An older woman caught her elbow and steadied her. Marcus did not even notice. Afterward, people gathered at the church for food. There were sandwiches and thin coffee in paper cups. The room was too loud for such a heavy day. Maya found a quiet corner and sat down. She rubbed her belly. The baby kicked more than usual, as if it sensed pain. Marcus finally found her. He did not ask how she was. He simply said he had to go out for a bit. Maya asked why. He said it was work. She did not remember him mentioning it. Maybe grief erased it. Maybe he never said it. Either way, it did not matter. She whispered okay. He kissed the top of her head in a routine way that fell hollow. He said he would see her that night. He never came home. By late evening, Maya was still in the same funeral clothes. She sat alone in the apartment, staring at her phone. No messages. No calls. No explanation. Silence filled the rooms. She realized something she had been avoiding. The only man who ever truly showed up for her was gone, and her husband had left the marriage long before the funeral. She simply did not want to face it until now. Close to midnight, she went through her usual habit. She scrolled on her phone to distract herself. Then she saw a tagged photo. It showed Marcus at an expensive restaurant. Candlelight. Soft shadows. A table set for celebration. He sat across from a woman Maya did not know. The woman was young and polished and confident. She leaned in laughing. Marcus smiled in a way Maya had not seen in months. The caption said new beginnings. Maya stared until her vision blurred. The tears did not fall right away. Her father had been buried only hours earlier, and Marcus was out celebrating. Maya opened the woman profile. Her name was Isabel Chun. Every photo looked like a perfect life advertisement. Maya kept scrolling. She saw Marcus likes and comments going back for months. A clear trail. A clear pattern. Her hands began to shake. Not from sadness now, from the sharp feeling of betrayal finally landing in her body. She went to the bathroom and gripped the sink. She looked at herself in the mirror. Pregnant. Exhausted. Alone. Married to a man who could not even wait one day to show his true life. She did not scream. She did not smash anything. She did not call him. She took slow breaths. She returned to bed. She placed the phone down, and she decided to wait. Marcus came home after 2 in the morning. She heard the door. She heard the keys on the counter. She heard footsteps in the hall. He did not check on her. He went straight to the guest room. In that moment, Maya knew the marriage was finished. What she did not know was how fast it would get worse. In the morning, Marcus acted calm and clean and prepared. Maya sat in the kitchen with coffee she did not want. Marcus sat across from her like this was business. He said they needed to talk. She stayed silent. She waited. He said he'd been unhappy for a while. He said he thought she'd been unhappy too. He spoke as if they were both responsible, as if this was mutual. Then he said he wanted a divorce. No hesitation. No regret. Flat and final. Maya reminded him that her father had died 2 days ago. Marcus said he was sorry, but it did not change where they were. He spoke as if marriage was just a location. He said he would support the baby financially. He said it like an offer, like a favor. Then he said he had met someone. He told her he had already spoken with a lawyer. He said the documents would be ready by the end of the week. He said she would not have to do much. Just sign. Maya repeated the words quietly. Just sign. She felt anger rise, but she held it down. Her father advice surfaced in her mind. When someone shows you who they'll believe them the first time, Marcus had shown her, and she believed him. She said okay. Marcus blinked in surprise. He expected a fight. He expected tears. He expected drama. But Maya stayed still. He stood up relieved. He said he truly believed it was the right decision for both of them. Then he left the room, and soon he left the apartment. Maya sat alone, her belly heavy, her grief deep, and then she remembered her father's last words again. Go to bank. She stood up. She grabbed her coat. She walked out the door. The bank did not look like a normal bank. It looked like a place that guarded secrets. Marble columns rose into a high ceiling. Chandeliers hung above polished floors. Maya's sneakers squeaked as she walked. She felt underdressed and out of place. Before she reached the desk, a woman in a sharp suit approached her. The woman said her name. Maya froze and answered yes. The woman said they were expecting her. Maya had not called. She had not made an appointment, but they were waiting anyway. The woman led her through a secure door and down a quiet hallway. They entered a small private room with no windows. A man with gray hair stood up. He looked calm and kind. He introduced himself as Victor Kane. He said he had managed her father's accounts for decades. He offered condolences. Maya tried to speak. She said her father told her to come. Victor nodded like he already knew. He placed a small metal box on the table. Numbers were etched on the surface. He said it required 2 keys. He pulled out one key. He said hers would be among her father's belongings. Maya opened the hospital envelope in her purse. Inside were her father's ring and watch and a small brass key. She handed it over. Victor placed both keys into the box and turned them together. The box opened with a click. Victor stepped back and said he would give her privacy. Then he left the room. Maya stared at what was inside. A stack of papers. A sealed letter with her name. And old photographs. One photo showed her father as a young man. He stood in front of a grand mansion. He wore an expensive suit. He stood with people who looked powerful. Maya felt her breath catch. That face was her father, but the scene did not match her life. She picked up a newspaper clipping. The headline said an heir vanished after a family dispute. The name in print was James Hartwell III. Maya looked back at the photo. Her father was in it, but the name was not Richardson. Her hands shook as she opened the documents. The first pages were legal language. Trust. Protection. Beneficiary. Maya Richardson. Trustee Victor Kane. She scanned lines until her eyes landed on a number. A number so large her mind rejected it. Her father, the janitor, had left her an empire. She opened the sealed letter. It was written in her father's neat handwriting. He said he was sorry he could not tell her in person. He said some truths are easier after time. He explained his real name. He was born James Hartwell III. He was heir to a wealthy family. They cared about legacy and control. They wanted him to follow their plan. Then he met Maya's mother. She worked in a small bookstore. She loved him for who he was, not for what he owned. He wanted to marry her. His family refused. They wanted alliances and business arrangements. They forced a choice: family fortune or the life he wanted. He chose love. They cut him off and erased his name. He changed his name and started over. He worked jobs that did not ask questions. He built a simple life with a woman he loved. He wrote that those years were the richest of his life. Then he revealed the secret. He did not walk away without protection. He had restructured the fortune behind the scenes. He hid it inside strong legal walls. He placed it under the care of someone he trusted. Then he waited, not for revenge, for safety, for Maya. He wrote that money is not identity. He wrote that he raised her simply so she would learn character. He warned that people would show their true colors when they learn the truth. He told her to stay herself. He told her to stay patient. Maya folded the letter carefully. She did not call Marcus. She did not announce anything. She placed a hand on her belly and felt her daughter move. And she understood the lesson. Real power does not need a shout. Real power can wait. Victor returned to the room after giving her time alone. He knocked softly before entering. Maya had placed the papers back into careful order. Her hands were steady now. Her eyes were clear. Victor sat across from her and asked if she had questions. She swallowed and asked only one. How much? Victor slid a single summary page across the table. It listed stocks and bonds. It listed real estate in several cities. It listed private investments and international funds. The assets were spread across many countries. They had been built slowly and carefully over decades. At the bottom of the page was the total value. $5.2 billion. Maya stared at the number. It did not feel real. She thought of the small apartment, the second-hand furniture, the grocery bags packed with lunch, the couch where her father slept for years. Victor explained that the estimate was conservative. Her father avoided high-risk ventures. He chose stability over speed. The money had grown quietly without attention. Maya felt dizzy. She asked what she was supposed to do with it. Victor smiled gently. Anything. She could live on the interest and never touch the original sum. She could give it away. She could pretend it did not exist. It was hers. Without conditions. Without public record. Only Victor and her father had known. Now she knew. Maya thought of Marcus. Of the divorce papers he promised by the end of the week. Of his offer to support the baby as if he were being generous. He had no idea, and she would not tell him. She told Victor she wanted to keep it private. He agreed. The structure her father built ensured privacy. Nothing could be traced back to her. The trust was protected from lawsuits and divorce claims. It was hers alone. When she left the bank, she looked the same as before. Grieving, pregnant, quiet, but inside she felt fortified. 3 weeks later, pictures appeared online. Marcus and Isabel had married quickly. They smiled for cameras as if they had won something. Comments exploded beneath the photos. Some praised him. Many criticized him. Maya saw the images. They hurt, but the pain did not consume her. She kept preparing the nursery. She attended doctor appointments. She reread her father's letter until she knew every line. When friends asked how she was doing, she smiled softly. She said she was fine, and slowly that became true. The divorce finalized quickly. Marcus moved fast. Maya signed every paper without arguing. She did not ask for alimony. She did not fight over belongings. She took what was legally hers and let him walk away, believing he had handled everything maturely. Marcus made a public post about moving on with grace. Isabel showed off her new ring online. The internet buzzed with opinions. Then the noise faded. Maya stayed quiet, because quiet was strength. As her pregnancy advanced, she received something unexpected. A cream-colored envelope with heavy paper. Inside was an invitation. It invited her to the inaugural event of the Richardson Hartwell Foundation. Her breath caught. Richardson Hartwell was her father's true name. The event was formal. The guest list limited. At the bottom, it said her presence was requested as the primary honoree. She called Victor at once. He confirmed the event. He said it was her father's final project. He had planned it before his illness worsened. She asked who was invited. Victor paused. Everyone who matters, including Marcus. Her heart raced. Her father had requested Marcus' name specifically. He had seen more than she realized. He had anticipated possibilities. A press release followed days later. It announced the launch of the Richardson Hartwell Foundation with a $50 million endowment. It honored James Richardson for decades of quiet service. It did not explain the source of funds. Rumors spread. People were confused. Some believed it was a scam. Some guessed a secret donor. No one guessed the truth. Maya stayed silent. Victor handled the press. Her only task was to show up. The evening of the gala arrived. The venue was an old estate transformed into elegance. Chandeliers glittered overhead. The floors shone like mirrors. Maya wore an emerald green dress that fit around her pregnancy. Her hair was simple. Around her neck, she wore a diamond necklace that had belonged to her grandmother. It was understated, but unmistakably valuable to anyone who understood such things. Victor met her at a side entrance. He told her she looked perfect. She admitted she was terrified. He said that meant she understood the moment. Guests filled the ballroom. Community leaders, neighbors, donors, people who had known her father as a janitor. Then Marcus entered with Isabel on his arm. Isabel wore a striking red dress. Marcus looked uncertain. He searched the room for Maya, but did not see her. Maya watched from a private room for a moment. Then she chose to walk in like everyone else. She stepped into the hall calmly. Conversation slowed. Heads turned. She was visibly pregnant and alone. Whisper spread. Marcus saw her. Confusion crossed his face. Then concern. Then something like fear. Maya did not look at him. She walked to a reserved seat near the front and sat down. People approached to offer condolences and kind words about her father. Marcus remained frozen at his table. The lights dimmed. Victor stepped onto the stage. He spoke about James Richardson dedication and quiet integrity. Then his tone shifted. He revealed that James Richardson was born James Hartwell III. He explained that he walked away from immense wealth to choose love. Gasps filled the room. Marcus leaned forward. Victor said the foundation existed because James spent decades preparing his daughter to build something meaningful without entitlement. He gestured toward Maya. He introduced her as the founder and primary benefactor. Applause began. Maya rose and walked to the stage. Each step felt deliberate. Marcus' face changed as realization dawned. Richardson Hartwell. The endowment. The event. It was her. Maya adjusted the microphone. Her voice was steady and clear. She spoke about invisible decisions. About being present when it's hard. About wealth without character being empty noise. She explained that her father was born in a privilege, but chose integrity. He gave up an empire for love. He built a simple life on purpose. She said he left her a choice. To hide the truth or to use it wisely. She announced the foundation initial gift. $50 million. Applause rose. Then she added quietly that the $50 million represented less than 1% of the total trust her father created. The room fell silent. She stated the full valuation. $5.2 billion. The silence deepened. It was not shock alone. It was recognition. She said she was not sharing this to impress anyone. She was sharing it to clarify that responsibility mattered more than wealth. Her father raised her to be grounded, not rich. And she intended to remain exactly that. The applause that followed was thunderous. People stood. Some cried. Across the room, Marcus sat pale and motionless. Isabel looked at him in confusion. He was calculating what he had just lost. After the speech, Marcus tried to leave quickly. Victor intercepted him with calm politeness. Marcus asked for 5 minutes with Maya. Victor declined. He said she was not interested. Marcus' jaw tightened, but there was nothing left to discuss. Maya owed him nothing. She exited quietly through a side door soon after. No grand farewell. No confrontation. Months later, Maya's daughter was born. Naomi Grace Richardson. 7 pounds and 4 ounces. Dark hair. Bright eyes like her grandfather. There was no husband pacing the hall. Only Victor and a kind nurse who stayed late. Marcus sent flowers with a short message. Maya threw them away. Not in anger. In clarity. She brought Naomi home to the apartment. Above the bassinet, she hung wooden animals her father carved. They turned gently in the air. Maya sang the lullaby her father used to sing. For the first time since his death, she felt peace. The foundation grew steadily. Scholarships were funded. Training centers opened. Single parents received support. Maya worked without seeking attention. She made decisions. She signed checks. She went home to her daughter. People began recognizing her not as a celebrity, but as someone who changed lives. Letters arrived. Emails of gratitude. Stories of hope. Marcus once attempted to donate. Victor returned the check. Declined. Isabel left Marcus after a year. He had misjudged more than one woman. His career stalled. Calls went unanswered. Years passed. Naomi started school. The foundation celebrated milestones. Marcus saw them once in a park. Maya pushing the stroller. Victor walking beside them. Naomi laughing. He stayed at a distance. He understood too late what he had walked away from. Maya stood one last time in her father's old apartment before closing it. She read a final letter he left for her. He wrote that loss is permission. Permission to choose who you become. Permission to walk away from anyone who cannot see your worth. He told her that wealth without wisdom is empty. He told her that her real inheritance was her character. Maya locked the apartment door and stepped into the sunlight. Naomi ran toward her. Victor smiled nearby. Maya felt gratitude, not for the money, for the freedom to choose her own path. Her father was right. Losing him was not the end. It was the beginning. She had chosen well. Life did not change overnight. It changed slowly and quietly. Maya did not move into a mansion. She did not buy a flashy car. She did not suddenly surround herself with luxury. She stayed in the same apartment for a while. She wanted to feel every step of the transition. She wanted her daughter to grow up grounded. Victor handled the investments carefully. He sent her simple reports that explained where the money was and how it was growing. Maya read every line. She did not want to be rich and careless. She wanted to be informed and steady. The foundation became her main focus. At first, it funded scholarships quietly. Students who could not afford tuition suddenly had a chance. Single parents drowning in medical bills found help. Workers who had been laid off gained access to training programs. Maya visited some of the programs in person. She did not arrive with cameras. She did not announce herself loudly. She sat in classrooms and listened. She walked through training centers and asked questions. She learned the names of people whose lives were changing. One afternoon, a young mother approached her after a workshop. The woman held a toddler on her hip. She said the foundation paid her rent when she was about to be evicted. She said that support gave her time to finish her certification. Now she had a stable job. She thanked Maya with tears in her eyes. Maya felt something stronger than pride. She felt purpose. That night, she sat in the rocking chair with Naomi asleep against her chest. She thought about her father scrubbing floors and fixing pipes. He had always helped people in small ways. Now she was doing the same on a larger scale. The size was different. The intention was the same. Marcus watched from a distance as her name appeared in quiet articles. Not gossip columns. Not dramatic headlines. Serious business journals. Community reports. Education panels. At first, he told himself it did not matter. He convinced himself she had simply gotten lucky. But deep down, he knew luck had nothing to do with it. He remembered how calm she stayed during the divorce. He remembered how she signed the papers without argument. He remembered how she never begged. That calmness now made sense. One evening, he tried to draft a message to her. He typed words and deleted them. He tried again and stopped. There was no sentence that could repair what he had broken. Apologies mean little when trust is gone. Meanwhile, Maya built a routine with Naomi. Morning walks in the park. Afternoons at the office. Evenings reading books and singing lullabies. She told her daughter stories about her grandfather. She described his steady hands. She described how he chose love over money. She told Naomi that true strength is quiet. As Naomi grew older, she asked questions. Why do people say Grandpa was rich? Why did he work as a janitor? Maya answered honestly, but simply. She said he wanted to live by his values. She said he wanted his daughter to know who she was without influence. Naomi listened carefully. She inherited her grandfather's thoughtful eyes. The foundation celebrated its 5th year with a small gathering. No grand spectacle, just partners and volunteers and families who had benefited. Maya spoke briefly. She thanked the community for trusting the vision. She reminded them that money is a tool, not an identity. Victor stood beside her, as he always did. He had become part of their family. Naomi called him Uncle Victor at first. Later, she called him Grandpa Victor. He never corrected her. Marcus' life grew quieter. Business deals slipped away. Colleagues stopped calling as often. His marriage to Isabel had ended without drama, but without warmth. He lived alone in a comfortable apartment that felt empty. He would sometimes drive past the neighborhood where Maya lived. He never stopped. He never stepped out of the car. He just watched from a distance and drove away. One afternoon, he saw Maya at a school event. She sat in the audience watching Naomi perform in a small play. Maya clapped with full attention. Her phone stayed in her bag. Her eyes never left her daughter. Marcus remembered school events years ago. He remembered checking his watch. He remembered looking at his phone. He felt the weight of comparison. Maya never spoke badly about him to Naomi. When Naomi asked about her father, Maya answered gently. She said he made different choices. She said adults sometimes choose paths that lead them away. She did not fill her daughter's heart with bitterness. She filled it with clarity. As time passed, Maya expanded the foundation reach. She funded small businesses started by single mothers. She invested in public libraries and community centers. She partnered with local colleges to create mentorship programs. Her approach remained the same. Quiet, strategic, grounded. People began to describe her as disciplined, as wise beyond her years, as someone who did not let wealth change her. Maya would smile when she heard those words. Because wealth had changed her. It had not made her louder. It had made her more deliberate. She understood now what her father meant. Power is patient. It does not rush. It does not need applause. One evening, she stood on the porch of a new community center funded by the foundation. Children played inside. Parents talked with relief and hope. Victor stood beside her. He said your father would be proud. Maya looked at the sky and nodded. She believed it. Years later, Marcus attended a business conference where Maya was invited as a keynote speaker. He did not expect to see her name on the program. When she walked onto the stage, the room listened. She spoke about sustainable philanthropy. She spoke about responsibility. She spoke about building systems that last beyond one person's lifetime. She did not mention him. She did not hint at the past. Her story was no longer about loss. It was about growth. After the speech, Marcus considered approaching her. He stood in line like everyone else. When his turn came, he opened his mouth. No words came. Maya looked at him calmly. There was no anger in her eyes. Only distance. He said, I'm glad you're doing well. She nodded politely. She said, thank you. That was all. No confrontation. No dramatic closure. Just acknowledgement. As he walked away, he realized something painful. He had once believed she was not enough. Now he understood he had not been enough. Maya drove home that evening thinking not about Marcus, but about Naomi's upcoming school project. Life had moved forward. The past was a chapter, not the whole book. On the 10th anniversary of the foundation, Maya hosted a small dinner in honor of her father. Volunteers shared stories. Students spoke about their achievements. Parents described how their lives changed. Maya listened quietly. She felt the weight of legacy, not as pressure, as privilege. Later that night, she tucked Naomi into bed. Naomi asked if Grandpa was watching. Maya smiled and said she believed he was. After the lights were off, Maya sat alone for a moment. She thought about the hospital room, the rain at the funeral, the Instagram photo, the bank vault, the gala, the birth of her daughter. Each moment felt like part of a design she had not understood at the time. Loss had given her permission. Betrayal had given her clarity. Wealth had given her tools. But character had always been hers. If someone had looked at her during those early days, they would have seen a grieving pregnant woman abandoned by her husband. They would not have seen the fortress built quietly around her future. They would not have seen the patience forming inside her. That is the lesson. Never assume you know someone's full story. Never mistake quiet for weakness. Never confuse kindness with lack of intelligence. Maya's father chose love over fortune. Maya chose responsibility over revenge. And in the end, that is what built something lasting. True wealth is not the number in an account. It is the character you carry when no one is watching. And sometimes the greatest mistake a person can make is underestimating someone who has learned how to wait.